Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Hustle and Grind. Sorry I've been a little bit on a hiatus. I've been on special assignment on vacation. So I couldn't do every show. Some shows I was a little too drunk to do. So Joe took over for me while I was gone for the last few days. I did make a couple of them, but not all of them. But as always, I'm Cam with Cam P Sports. And we always have the lovely Joe with Joe Madden Sports. And tonight we have Chris Wassel with us. With DFS, and we're happy to have him. He is our NHL guru, so we're looking forward to hearing what he has to say about what's going on in the NHL tonight and possibly tomorrow. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing absolutely incredible. It's a pleasure to be here with both of you guys. So thank you for both of you being here tonight. I'm so glad I didn't have to introduce Hustle and Grind, Cammy P. You don't know the stress I was under introducing the show. The first show I did without you, I was like, hey, who's talking? As soon as we went live, and then I realized it was on me. So that was stressful. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, kind of hosting it there. There you go. Good. You still killed it. Every show you did, I watched, and they were fantastic. So
absolutely. Chris, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. See, I just introduced the show. It's like, okay, ready, go. And it's just like instant, like 30 minutes or more of just talking. And the fun part always is this. And people are like, wait a minute, what are you drinking tonight? And it's like, I always have to put something up on the screen. It's like, because people just are like, no, you're not. Yeah, I am. The one night it actually was Gentleman's Jack Green Label.
Nice.
I found over my sister-in-law is redoing the kitchen, and of course you never quite know what you're going to find. You may even find 20-year-old vintage Italian balsamic vinegar.
Ooh, is that good after 20 years?
It was unopened and corked, so
it's vinegar, anyways.
Okay,
it's aged.
Now, were you shooting it, or were you putting it on salad?
Honestly, we did try it. It seemed like it was still good. I'm still here, so how bad can it be?
You survived it. That's good.
Exactly. I've done much worse.
Absolutely.
Have I pulled out of my fridge sometimes when I'm hungry? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's just give this a shot.
Those month expired eggs. Yeah, we'll be fine. They don't smell. It's perfectly good.
They look like their normal color. I'm in.
Exactly.
Okay, well, I grew up with an Australian dad, and he used to pull the mold off the top of the salsa before we ate it. So iron gut right here. You know, you grow up like that, you're never getting sick from food. So
Joe,
it's a good thing.
The line there. You crossed the line. We weren't talking about that kind of stuff.
I totally did, but you guys are shooting 20-year-old vinegar. So.
Hey.
Okay, you guys, let's talk some hockey. So we saw the Islanders beat the Bruins tonight. This was a great game. What did you think of this, Chris?
Look, this was a wild game from start to finish, and we're going to have much debate for the next, I don't know, days, weeks, maybe months, perhaps, after this round, just because of how some of these games have been decided.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a Boston fan, I get the frustration. You feel like, look, you saw who was officiating tonight, and you probably cringed. And it's by reflex. And if you're a Devils fan, you really cringe because you saw these two guys and you just at least ruined 3 or 4 games alone this year. And it's unfortunate. You don't want to see a game decided on penalties. But at the same time, I'd say out of the first 3, the first one was like, wait, you let all that go and then you called an Oscar for the Best Actor award on Scott Mayfield.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I could see maybe like the second and even third one, perhaps, but that first one changed the tone of the entire game.
Yeah,
it really did.
Absolutely.
No, I agree with you on that.
Now, same token, you're Boston. And you have a penalty kill that is about 86% at home all season. Kind of have to kill one of those, right? I mean,
you got to try, especially if you're
I mean, it's not like one of your top penalty killers went to the box either.
Yeah.
No.
You should have been able, and it did not happen.
Yeah.
And look, give the Islanders credit for this. There's one or two set plays that the Islanders usually try on every power play, and it worked twice tonight. And that was the game.
Yeah. And this is a scary situation for Boston because now they've lost at home and they play next in New York. So hard situation for them. It's hard winning on the road, especially with the home crowds now.
Right. And
Boston's defense, though, they did rally in the last period, third period. They did rally. They put their stuff together. They came back. So it's a good ending note, I guess, for them. I mean, that's the only positive to really bring out of that. Like you said, Chris, there's penalties. They didn't penalty kill. And then at least in the third period, they came back with 2 goals in a row. They made it a 5-4 game. So hopefully they can take some of that into their next game. Hopefully.
It's not going to be easy. Look, there's a reason why the Islanders are as good at home and especially at the Nassau Coliseum as they are. Look, we used to hate going in there. I remember back when, I was a wee little lad, and let's be honest, they called it Fort Never Lose for a reason because the Islanders just did not lose. Look, the last home game, you have former Islander great Clark Gillies shotgunning a beer and smashing it against his forehead like he's 26.
Yeah.
I mean, the atmosphere alone there is going to be, I can't even imagine what basically amounts to be a full crowd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to consider that. That being said, if there's any team that could pull it off is Boston, but can they win 2 games in a row against an Islander team that progressively, as this series has gone along, has found, creative and different ways to score timely goals and ultimately win games?
Yeah, they absolutely have. They've been able to find those difficult shots and everything like that. So we're going into game 6. And it's crucial. Boston has to come out, win this one, win the next if they want to win this series. And I don't know, you guys, it's a hard feat ahead of them. Definitely.
Oh, I agree. I got a question for you, Chris. Just with the Canadian team, so we've got Canadians versus the Jets. Right now they're tied 2-2. If the Canadians, keep pushing the way they are and the Jets can't keep up, we're going to have a sweep here. And the Canadians are going to be playing an American team. Now, the question is, do you think, like, with the Americans filling their stadiums, and it's loud, it's aggressive in those stadiums, it's not like playing in Canada right now because we haven't had the fans. I think we've allowed up to 2,500 fans in the playoffs, but now a Canadian team's going to go play in the States with a full stadium, and I think they're going to be loosening the restraints on the Canadian teams. We're going to be able to sell more tickets and get it full in there, but without being in that last, season and a half for the Canadian teams playing in almost, quiet scenario, do you think that's going to be a big factor when a Canadian team does go and play in the States?
Look, this could go 2 ways. This could have that absolute dire effect where, yes, it definitely affects a team like Montreal. But you've got a few younger players on Montreal that this could positively affect too. I mean, the rock star atmosphere with players like Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and you have Nick Suzuki, and you have, of course, Cole Caulfield. I mean, you have enough young players that it could help some of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother Carey Price none. I don't think Carey Price cares about how big a crowd is. Look, more than likely, let's face it, they're going to play Colorado or Vegas next round.
Yeah.
It's just the way the seeding goes out, no matter what scenario you draw up from
one of those guys. I know.
Chewbacca that comes from Endor, that does not make sense. I mean, but in this case, it does, because no matter what, they're going to be playing one of those 2 teams. The only thing Montreal can really hope for as they hop on the power play here is a swift end to this series, and they have to hope that Colorado and Vegas just beat the living daylights out of each other into a 7th game. Now, unfortunately for Colorado, they won't have Nazem Kadri to knock around Ryan Reeves. So Ryan Reeves pretty much almost could have gotten suspended last night. I'm waiting for the inevitable where he does do something incredibly stupid again.
Yeah.
Because you never want to say that about a player, but it just something doesn't feel right with that series. Like you could see something is going to explode. If not in Game 5, maybe in Game 6 or so.
Yeah.
So look, basic bottom line is Montreal has to close this out ASAP.
Yep.
They need the rest. I don't care about rust. I don't care about this or that. If they want to have any chance at all, they need help in every single way. They need to be playing a team that is beaten up upside down, sideways.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a good point. I like it.
Absolutely. So between the Vegas and Colorado matchup, you guys, where are both of you leaning for who you want to take this series and then who you think will take this series? Because I know I want Vegas to take this series, but I'm looking at it and Colorado's giving it everything they got. If Vegas plays like they did last night, I think they come out and take this series by Game 6. Taking the next 2 games. But if they don't come out like they did last night, I think it goes to Game 7, and I think it goes to a shootout. And then if we have Nathan McKinnon in there, he's going to find a way to get that shootout goal. So it's a hard one, you guys.
I want, and I think Colorado is going to pull this out. I'm a big fan of their team. McKinnon is absolutely fantastic. Vegas is also a good team. I like Vegas. They're experienced. They know what they're doing. They're tough. But I think Colorado, if it goes, like Chris said, it goes to a longer series to 6 or 7 games, I think Colorado might pull this one out just for the strength and the endurance these guys have as younger guys. So, I mean, we'll see. But I'd like to see Colorado win.
Okay. So we're completely opposite on who we want to see win. Chris, who do you want to see win?
Who I want to see win is probably Colorado, just because I do want to see how the story sort of continues with Philip Grubauer basically having to save Colorado on a almost like minute by minute basis. So, look, pretty much since about I would say the 3rd period of Game 1 of this series, at even strength, Vegas has dominated in every single way. Mm-hmm. So basically, if you're looking the last 8-9 periods or so, Vegas has pretty much dominated the lion's share of the series.
Yeah.
Yet, against all odds, Colorado and Vegas are tied 2-2. And you could have made a case that Colorado easily could have stolen Game 3. So,
and I can make a case Vegas could have stolen Game 2.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this fun. You have swing games that could have gone either way that may have tipped the series one way or the other. And now you have a Game 5 where, look, Colorado is on their heels. Their top line is not working the way it's supposed to be, ideally. They're not generating the chances that you would expect. And Vegas has been able to gradually grind down and wear down on them as a team. Mm-hmm. And when they've done something that no other team really has all season long against them. They've dominated a team that has a mobile defense with an equally, and I would argue in some ways, more mobile 5-man unit, especially amongst not just their top 6, but people forget that, Alex Tuck is just laying there lurking on the 3rd line. And let's face it, Alex Tuck is a top 6 player in any other team but Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you guys think of their complete domination on the ice last night? Colorado wasn't able to make any movement. Vegas was all over them as soon as they got the puck anywhere. It was complete domination on every end of the ice. Did you guys expect to see that? Because I didn't expect to see that, but that's how I expected Vegas to finish out the Wild. And when they didn't win that Game 6, I had given up hope on Vegas. And last night was clearly the team that I expected to see a couple games ago. So I was happy to see it. Something
Max Pacioretty on line 1. And basically, the difference with this team is Max Pacioretty makes this team go.
Yeah.
It's not Mark Stone, with all due respect to Stone and how he plays his two-way game. It is the fact that basically Pacioretty can sit there, create on a dime, has an extremely fast shot release, and even better shot selection. He knows when to shoot, when not to shoot, and of course, most importantly, he is always in a position to shoot.
Absolutely.
Which rubs off on the rest of the team, because we saw what the second line was able to do. I mean, I don't know. Jonathan Marchessault looks like the Jonathan Marchessault I remember a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
Complete with hat trick from last night.
It was a beautiful hat trick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
for those that have not watched the entire game, I recommend this only to see how a team can just surgically take apart another team.
Mm-hmm.
Watch game 1 and then watch game 4.
It doesn't look like the same teams play.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
No, Vegas definitely got to jump in their step for sure, and they know what they're doing. So it's be a fun game to watch tomorrow night.
I'm
excited. Yeah, so it is going to be in Colorado. How much do you think the home crowd in Colorado is going to help them?
Oh, it helps, no question. It's in theory, this game should be very close, and I'm not going to be shocked if this goes into that dreaded word known as overtime, but it wouldn't hurt. I mean, look, do I want to watch some late hockey tomorrow? Yes, I do. So
absolutely.
That would be a very nice thing, as everybody knows that with a little bit more of a staggered start, Colorado gets off to a tiny bit later than usual start time. That's important of note. So, will we see some midnight hockey?
Yeah, you're in the East. Late hockey for you out there.
Well, Colorado's tough to play in too. Like, it's not an easy city to play in. One, it's high elevation. Two, the team's decent, and Vegas is obviously Vegas. We know Vegas is really good, but I don't think it's an easy game to play in Colorado anytime.
It never is. I mean, I know people joke about the elevation, but look, Philip Grubauer is not going to be happy after the last game. He didn't look it, especially after the Patrick Nemeth turnover, where you could see him pointing which side of the ice to go to. I know he said after the game, look, you say all the right things at the press conferences and everything else, but he is clearly pointing like, go this way. He sees the guy and nope. And it didn't happen. And from there, that game was over. It really was. You could just see, like, Colorado, for a lack of a better term, Colorado checked out defensively after that game, after that point. They really did.
Absolutely. I completely am with you with that. When we're looking at tomorrow night's game, Vegas is the underdog at plus 130. We're getting the Colorado Avalanches at minus 150 and a total of 5.5. Do you guys think this is going to be a lower scoring affair, or do you think it's going to go over that 5.5 like we saw in the last game? It hit 6. It's those empty netters, and that's what got us last night, that empty net goal. And that's what scares me about this series.
Yeah. This is the one variable with this series that will drive people nuts, especially with games 5, 6, and perhaps maybe a 7. Is going to be trying to sit there and gauge with a clear conscience how you're going to bet the over-under here. I say this in the nicest of ways. Good luck. Because there's almost a point where you sit there and go, I'm going to stay away from this a little bit, and I'm going to start leaning into shot props and, player points. And I mean, we talked the last time I was here about sort of the zigzag theory, not applying to every series. And this one, it might not. In the conventional sense, the result might indeed zigzag, but you're not going to see. If you think you're going to see Colorado just come out and blow out Vegas, that's not going to happen now. Vegas has shown too many games in the series where they're at an offensive level, and it's about up here, a little higher,
Yeah.
And Colorado right now is about there.
Yeah.
Now, against most teams, that's fine. They would be able to beat most any other team, except for maybe, I don't know, Tampa, maybe a balanced team like Carolina.
Yeah.
So they have to come up, and particularly their middle six, which I didn't even see them most of the last night. And that was the one thing that you usually could rely on. Now, that could change at home a little bit. The Nichushkin line had been excellent throughout the first 5 or 6 games of the playoffs. And the last 2, they've really been neutralized. Nichushkin, Donskoy, varying Tyson Yost in varying forms, occasionally being on that line. Completely neutralized.
Yeah.
And look, Peter DeBoer has not had to do much line matching with them. He's obviously the last 2 games he had the luxury of last line change, helps a lot, but he really doesn't have to because he can roll his top 3 forward lines, and it makes little difference. It really does, and that has to be a little bit scary for Colorado.
For sure.
You can't sit there and fathom. Well, Colorado maybe could draw a few penalties, rely on the power play. Since game 1, that hasn't done much either. Really, little has worked right for the Avalanche over the last 9 periods or so.
Mm-hmm.
And there is only one team that can flip a switch like that, and that is of course Colorado. So
Absolutely.
Can they do it? Yes. Is it going to be in a way that they're going to come out and score 5-6 goals tomorrow night? No, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So once you knock that out of the equation, now it's a question of, okay, what is the over-under at? Okay.
Yeah. So we have an over-under of 5.5, and one thing I'm looking at is you can get Vegas. So if you think Vegas is going to come out strong, their over-under for team total is 2.5 at -116. I like that 2.5 at -116. Colorado, you've got to jump up to 3.5, but you get +125 at that. If you think Colorado's going to get those 4 goals, I don't know if they're going to get that many, but I don't know.
It's close.
It's going to be very, very close there.
I mean, this is a swing type of deal where this is an either or. This is not. There's not going to be a push here. It's either a 3-2 or a 4-3 game.
Yeah.
Look. Before the end of the regular season, I remember this well. 4 goals scored in the first 20 minutes, and I had people drilling me upside down and sideways on Twitter because I had taken the under. And I'm like, just wait for it. So what's the score, Chris? Oh, it's still 2-2 in the third period. Well, how? They scored 4 goals. I'm like, they've been trading chances.
Yeah.
Just none have gone in. Now, you could have like what you had the other night with the other afternoon, Saturday afternoon with Carolina and Tampa, where you have 8 goals in one period.
That was crazy.
That could happen, but
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so with these 2 teams. That doesn't seem to go with how these 2 teams are stacked up. They can trade goals for a little bit, so you could see 2, 3, maybe 4 goals in a period, but you're not going to see any more than that. So. If you feel comfortable with it, you take the under, and then you start to kind of play around and go, well, maybe I can take that shot at Vegas if they stay at -120 or a little better. Yeah. Then I'm looking at that team total of 2.5. That's a solid number.
Yeah.
Whereas Colorado 3.5 getting plus money, it's a little dicier, and for good reason. I mean, look. The bookies are basing it on this. Colorado scored an average of 3.52 goals a game in the regular season. So 3.5 seems to make sense. I mean, it's right there. It's not even, there's no rocket science. There's no forethought here. That's the number. So I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I'm picking my spots. I'm looking forward to that McKinnon power play point because it's almost inevitable. And then you go from there. You go with what you're kind of comfortable with as far as player props and team props alike tomorrow night, or in this case, Wednesday night.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Absolutely. It should be a great game. I'm excited for it. I'm just looking at the period breakdown. You can get Vegas first period goals minus 0.5 for plus 225 if you think Vegas is going to score right off the bat. So
Not bad.
That's not a bad bet.
That's one you kind of have to take a flyer on. You know, do I want to toss five, maybe $10 on that?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
That's nothing. That's a nice little bet there.
Yeah, that's a nice bottle of wine bet.
That's a good one.
Right?
I like that.
Get me a bottle of wine off $5. So
Yeah,
that's a good one. Chris, what series are you enjoying the best out of all the ones going on right now?
Let's see. Which one am I enjoying? You know what? It's got it for me at least. As much as I would love to say it's Colorado and Vegas, it's that old Southeast Division rivalry in Carolina and Tampa Bay. It's like a drug you just can't shake. It really is. I mean, these teams didn't like each other a few years ago. They still don't like each other now. They're never going to like each other. You have the drama back and forth with Rod Brindamore crying about the referees every other 5 minutes. You have John Cooper kind of getting grumpy too with some of his players and calling them off the ice and giving them an earful. You have the back and forth goaltending changes. You went from the Delkovich to Mrazek, which I thought was a god awful idea for Carolina, but they're still determined to play Mrazek at least tomorrow, as far as I've seen. And good luck on that.
Yeah.
But
that's the plan at least.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this series, and Tampa is winning the series 3-1 right now. So we're going into Game 5. Do you think Tampa, you guys, gets the win tomorrow night? They're minus 120. You can get the Hurricanes at plus 100. We got a total of 5.5 last time I looked. Cam, do you have any leans on this one?
You know what? Wow. I want to say Carolina's going to come back pretty strong and pull one out tomorrow night. To put it into Game 6, but logic says Lightning pull it out tomorrow night, but I'd like to see Carolina do it.
Okay, Carolina plus 100. Yeah. I would like to see this series go longer. I definitely would. Chris, what are you thinking?
Absolutely. This series look. You don't want to say a series deserves to go longer, but this is probably the closest case for one to do so, just because look. That game was crazy on Saturday, and you had a little of everything. You had the calls that went, I don't know, somewhere, and then look, Carolina lost their heads at some point. So I mean, you have to be at least somewhat disciplined. You have look like Boston. You have to kill a damn penalty at some point. I mean, again, this is another case where you have a top 3 penalty kill in the league all season in Carolina. Look, Tampa Bay is the second coming when it comes to the power play, especially with Nikita Kucherov. I mean, I could sit there and break down about an hour of video footage on how Kucherov plays teams on a power play. And it's frightening. But at some juncture, your goalie has to make a save. And Mrazek did not do that on Saturday. That bothers me a lot going into this game. Can Mrazek make enough saves? You know Vasilevsky can. Yes, yeah. I know. Vasilevsky looked human on Saturday. I get it. Believe me, I heard this all yesterday. I heard it all day today. But that plus 100, if that swings just a little bit, if I could get that at a plus 110, maybe somewhere in that range, I am hitting the hammer on Carolina, and I'm hitting it hard.
Absolutely.
Because I want plus money on that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Sebastian Aho to have a huge game. You figure at least 3. I think the shot prop was going to be set at 3.5 originally with him. It may change. Mm-hmm. So it will be something you want to keep an eye on. I know BetMGM does a lot of the shot prop updates, so you'll want to check over there.
Yep, for sure.
DraftKings does its own thing, FanDuel too. But I will be interested to see if I would love for Vegas to eventually do this, the bookies parlay shot props. This has to happen at some point. You take the best players on two best players on a team, combine their shots, and see if the over hits. I mean, this is the next logical step. I would think at some point. And I know I would hammer Hamilton and Aho from Carolina all night long tomorrow. They are going to get a lot of shots against the Tampa Bay defense because, look, Tampa Bay, you saw the beginnings of it on Saturday. They will go into stretches where they just forget how to play defense.
Oh, absolutely. Like in the second period, they allowed 4 goals. I know the Hurricanes did as well, but it really was a fall apart period for both teams in there. They were able to score those goals. I was riding the Hurricanes to get that win. I was sad when they didn't. It was great plus money on Saturday, and I'm loving the plus 100. I'm hoping like you, it comes up a little bit more, but at plus 100, I'm definitely hitting them tomorrow.
Still a solid pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great pick. It's a great pick, but we're pretty much out of time. Chris, can you tell everyone where they can follow you?
Absolutely. You can follow me as always on Twitter at Chris Wassel DFS. You can also see my stuff on sportsbettingdime.com, as well as, of course, one of my favorite sites out there, the gameday.com. And if you're feeling bored on Twitter, don't hesitate to ask a question. It doesn't have to always be about hockey. It could be anything. I mean, it could be about Australian rules football. It could be about football or baseball or basketball. We're a multi-sport happy family here. So just don't ask about painting. That doesn't go so well in the heat.
Yeah, no, exactly. We'll try to bring those questions up next time we talk.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, Chris. Really appreciate it. Joe, it's always a pleasure. And let's everybody good luck tonight and good luck tomorrow morning.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.